She pointed a loaded gun at my daughter over HOA dues right there in my driveway, in front of my wife, my grandkids, and half the neighborhood. For months, I thought she was just a nuisance with a clipboard, a bully in a neon vest. But in that instant, I realized she was something far worse. And when my daughter calmly told her she was the county sheriff, the whole facade came crashing down. When Linda and I first bought the house, I thought we were buying peace. After 35 years working construction, my knees shot and my back. One wrong lift away from disaster, all I wanted was a quiet place to retire to watch the grandkids ride their bikes, maybe sit on the dock with a fishing rod. Brookstone Estates looked perfect, clean streets, maple trees lining the yards, neighbors waving as they walked their dogs. Safe, the realtor promised. A community. That word hooked me. Safe. But the word HOA was buried in the fine print, and I barely gave it a second thought. We signed, we moved in, we planted flowers. And that's when the notes started showing up. At first they were small things. Trash bins too visible, mailbox needed repainting. Each one signed neatly. President Karen Whitfield. I laughed the first time. Visible trash cans. A mailbox. But then came the golf cart. Black cart, yellow beacons, spinning, Karen herself behind the wheel in a safety vest and hard hat like she was patrolling a construction site. She pulled up clipboard in hand and barked at me like a drill sergeant. "You didn't submit your shed application." I blinked. The shed was halfway built, matched the siding just for tools. She cut me off. "Architectural committee decisions are final. Stop immediately." I remember standing there with dirt on my gloves, stunned, thinking this can't be real life. It didn't stop. Notices piled up, chalk drawings from my grandson's unapproved flowers, noise violations for a backyard barbecue. Linda tried to calm me. "Maybe it's just her way, Jack. Don't let it get to you." But deep down, I knew this wasn't about rules. This was about control. Karen wasn't protecting property values. She was building a little kingdom, and anyone who didn't bow got a fine. At first, I tried to laugh it off. I even started keeping the papers in a shoebox, telling myself it was harmless, just proof I wasn't crazy. But then came the certified letters, threats of liens, legal-looking stationery with Whitfield and Associates printed on top, except there was no Whitfield and Associates. Just her and a printer. That's when I started to feel it, the pit in my stomach, the knot in my chest, every time I saw her cart roll by. She slipped notes under the door, scrawled warnings across envelopes, final notice. Comply or face consequences. I'd find her outside at night, snapping pictures of my truck. My peace was gone, replaced by dread. I won't lie, there was a stretch where I almost gave up. I remember staring at the growing pile of papers, rubbing my temples, thinking maybe I should just pay her. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe all those years of barking orders on construction sites made me blind to the rules. I even told Linda we should consider selling, cutting our losses. That's how far she had pushed me, ready to walk away from the home we thought would be our last. But Claire wouldn't let me. My daughter, sharp-eyed, steady as stone, looked at me across the kitchen table. "Dad, this isn't you. You're not the kind of man who folds because someone waves a clipboard. Treat it like a case. Keep records. Every letter, every threat. Build the file." So I did. I filled notebooks with times and dates. I took photos of her taking photos. I gathered every absurd violation and stacked them in a banker's box labeled in thick black marker HOA files. My engineer's brain turned it into a project. It wasn't just survival anymore, it was evidence. Turns out I wasn't alone. Tom Henderson down the street got fined for his flagpole. Mrs. Harris, a widow, threatened for feeding a stray cat. The Johnsons ticketed for a swing set bought at Walmart. Story after story, all the same neat signature at the bottom. Neighbors gathered in my backyard, voices low, anger simmering. That's when I realized this wasn't just me. Karen was terrorizing everyone. She wasn't the HOA president. She was a dictator in a golf cart. And then came the twist. Claire dug through county records and found the truth: the HOA had legally dissolved over a year earlier. Karen was collecting dues under a name that didn't exist. Fraud. And Gerald Lewis, a nervous old man from her so-called architectural committee, confessed he hadn't signed a thing. She'd forged his name, pocketed the money, lied about services never delivered. The spell started to crack. I drafted a letter with Claire's help laid out, the facts, dissolved status, fake minutes, missing funds. No opinions, just evidence. We mailed it certified to every neighbor in Brookstone Estates. And like a switch flipping, the neighborhood woke up. People stood in driveways, whispering, letters in hand, realizing they'd been conned. Karen knew. She stopped waving from her cart. Blinds stayed closed, but cornered animals don't retreat, they attack. 2 days later, she barreled onto my lawn, crushing Linda's flowers, waving my letter like a torch. "You think you can destroy everything I built? You think you can turn them against me?" Her face was twisted, her voice ragged. I told her calmly, "Karen, you're trespassing. Leave now." And that's when Claire walked up from the dock, still barefoot, towel over her shoulder. Karen's eyes went wild. She screamed, "Hands up! Citizens arrest!" And with trembling fingers, she pulled a black handgun from her vest and leveled it at my daughter's chest. Time stopped. I felt my knees buckle, my wife gasp, my grandkids whimper. But Claire. God bless that girl, she didn't flinch. Her voice cut through the panic, sharp and commanding. "Ma'am, put the weapon down, now." Karen snarled. "You don't tell me what to do. I'm the president. I run this neighborhood." And Claire took one measured step forward, eyes locked on hers. "My name is Claire Carter. I am the elected sheriff of this county, and you are committing aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Drop it, or you're going to prison." The words hit like thunder. Karen blinked, sweat dripping, gun shaking. She laughed. "Broken sheriff." "You don't make me laugh. You're nothing." But in the distance, sirens grew louder. David had already called 911. Red and blue lights flashed across the cul-de-sac. Karen's bravado cracked. The gun slipped, clattering onto the driveway. Deputies swarmed, weapons drawn only to freeze when they saw Claire standing barefoot, steady as stone. "Sheriff, you all right?" one called. She nodded. "I'm fine. Secure the weapon. Take her into custody." And just like that, it was over. Karen was cuffed, screaming about being president, dragged to the cruiser as neighbors peeked from behind curtains, eyes wide. For the first time, she wasn't the enforcer. She was the criminal. Yow. I stood there, fists clenched, chest heaving, watching her hauled away. The queen of Brookstone Estates, undone not by rebels or riots, but by her own obsession with power. The crushed flowers at my feet, the sirens fading, the silence settling over the cul-de-sac. It all felt surreal. I thought about every sleepless night, every moment I doubted myself, every time I wondered if maybe I was the one in the wrong. And now here she was, sobbing in handcuffs, her empire of fake fines and forged papers collapsing around her. That's where I'll leave it, because the story didn't end with barbecues or handshakes. It ended the moment her gun hit the ground and the deputies closed in. That was the moment her reign ended and our lives shifted forever. And if there's one thing I learned, it's this: tyranny doesn't fall because it's challenged. It falls because it overreaches, and it always does.